Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build. Today we are going to be building something for the Disney save that I think quite a few of you have probably been looking forward to and also could assume from the beginning that I was going to be including in the Disney save, and that is of course the house from Up. I'm just going to call it the Up house. I don't really know what else to call it, but I guess you could say that it is otherwise known as Carl's house, and he is one of the main characters from the movie Up. So this is probably one of the very few lots that we are going to be including from Up. There might be a community, but I think that this is going to be just about it. If I can come up with another community, and it also kind of depends on the other worlds, but I will tell you that this is going to be the only lot from Up to go in Evergreen Harbor. So the reason that this was chosen for Evergreen Harbor, it starts with a few different reasons. Actually, in the planning process of doing this world, when I was going around and touring and trying to figure everything out, I noticed that Evergreen Harbor weirdly has a lot of residential, which I don't think I was expecting before we got Eco Lifestyle. But once I saw all the lots, I was like, yeah, this world's going to end up being mostly residential. So we have done the house from Toy Story, Andy's house, Sid's house, and then you guys know that this world also comes with quite a few apartment complexes. So this is actually the bottom right-hand corner lot. It'll be a little bit easier to see if you are either a patron of mine or if you join my regular Discord. It is linked down below for those of you who don't know. I do have a Discord. Sometimes I will occasionally post videos and photos from the Disney save in my Discord. And when we get a little bit closer or further ahead in doing like each world, I tend to post like the overhead view for people to be able to place the lots exactly where I'm talking about. But this is a lot in the bottom right hand corner. And I'm actually building on this lot backwards right now. I didn't notice until I saved it to put on the gallery, but it is actually facing the other way. I'm not quite sure why I thought that it was supposed to go this way, but to me when I look at this lot, it just really looks like that it should be facing the road. However, it is actually supposed to go the other way. So I think some of the screenshots at the end of the video are facing the other direction, and I did change it before it went up on the gallery just so that it looks correct for the gallery, obviously. So today's video is actually another fan request, and that, if you happen to miss my Walt Disney Firehouse apartment from Disneyland speed build, that was also a fan request. So basically, if you pledge at the highest tier of my patron and you are in the Disney royalty tier, one of the options that I have available is for people to be able to do a fan request, which is usually like anything that you would like to see included for the Disney save in like that particular month. So it can be a character, it can be a speed build, it can be literally anything, a job, anything, a cat, a dog, but I have some rules, obviously. I usually would restrict it to whatever world I'm actually working in, and given that I've been working in Evergreen Harbor, it kind of has to line up with that, but obviously I'm sure people will want to use them in different portions, like different worlds later on, so it can be saved for later, like it's optional every single month. So one of my patrons contacted me and said that they wanted to turn in their fan request to do the Up House, which was super exciting because I had already planned to do the Up House for Evergreen Harbor, but basically that moved it up to the top of the list. This was actually going to be one of the last few videos for Evergreen Harbor, and we're getting it right now, which is, I think, the fourth speed build for this world, so it is coming a little bit early. You guys can thank that patron in the comment section down below for requesting it to be built a little bit early. And I think they had even mentioned to me that they really wanted to do it in a specific way, which I was super on board with. And when I originally decided that I was going to do this home here, I knew I wanted to do it in a particular scene. So there's a scene in the beginning of the movie where Carl comes out of his house. It's after the whole scene with Ellie showing them growing up and kind of getting older together. And then when he's older, he steps out of his house, and instead of this beautiful, luscious woods and garden surrounding his house like there was previously, there's construction, there's buildings, there is industrialization, which is one of the reasons why I decided this would be a cool home to do here. I really like the idea that it lines up with the theme of the world, being that this is sort of like you can go either direction with it, but this is a neighborhood or a world that was neighborhood and is slowly becoming more industrialized. This is a section of the map that has like cities in the background, and you can see some plants, some commercial buildings. It's closer to the water. So at one point it might have been like this really beautiful residential neighborhood. but it's slowly morphed into one of those residential neighborhoods that's kind of smack dab in the middle of a bigger city, and very much lines up with, like, the theming of Up, and in general, I would say, like, the whole thing where he doesn't want to sell his home, because obviously it's a lot of memories for him and Ellie, but they're trying to kind of get him out of the home, because they want to be able to basically replace it with, like, a super mall or something, and so, I wanted to do it so that it was, like, all boxed in, and there was the fence area, and then immediately surrounding it, we have a bit of construction going on. So it is more supposed to feel like maybe someone had purchased the area surrounding, meaning to the left and to the right, and they are building, they're going to be building something new there. Obviously, game restrictions, this is going to be like all one lot, and it does mean that the construction area is a part of the lot itself, but I think that that adds to the charm. I think it makes it a little bit different than maybe some of you had pictured originally for the home, and obviously makes it super unique. It's pretty important to note that this has probably been built like 100 times in The Sims 4, so adding this as a special detail to the home makes it, I think, a little bit different. And of course, we are going to have the balloons. So, the balloons were a big debate for me. I had people mention to me that I shouldn't do the balloons. I tried to do like all sorts of weird tricks with them because I really wanted to overdo it. I decided we were going to have the balloons, but I did run a poll on Patreon as well. I asked my patrons what they thought about the whole thing. I was talking about it in Discord as well, and there were just all these differing opinions. Now, I ultimately decided that we were going to keep the balloons. I love them. I think it makes the home so much fun. There was a couple of issues with doing them. And I would say in general, the reason that I had thought about maybe not including them originally is only because it just adds more stuff to this lot, and it would make it like a little bit slower for those of you who are worried about maybe playing this on like a laptop, or if you're going to be downloading the Disney save and you don't have like a super high buffed out computer. It might get a little more complicated the further we get in with all of the different objects that I've used, and a lot of them at that. I do use a lot of objects on my lots, so I try to be conscious of that kind of stuff, and I try, I guess I could say, I try to be conscious of that stuff, but for this lot, I think that we just had to do it. This is super special. I just think it's so much different than, you're not going to see another build in the Disney save that looks quite like this one. You're not going to get another one that's just got a million balloons coming out of the roof, and it's really unique. So I decided we were going to go for it. So we have the house, we have the area around it that is construction, and then we have the balloons. That will be a little bit at the end of the video. The footage of me actually placing the balloons got cut because I was trying out the new T.O.O.L mod. New to me, not new to the Sims community. Many people are very skilled in it and can do amazing things with it. If you don't know what T.O.O.L is, it's an incredible mod that TwistedMexi, I believe is their name, created to remove things from the game. It literally will take stuff out of surrounding lots, like not even on a lot. We're talking about the world itself here. It will allow you to rotate objects, flip them upside down, twist them, shrink them, make them all sorts of crazy directions that you wouldn't be able to with the normal game mechanics, and a bunch of other stuff. So I had this idea to take a bunch of the balloon objects from, it's this stack of balloons, I think from Kid Stuff, or it could be from the Toddlers pack. I always get the two catalogs from those packs confused. And I wanted to rotate them slightly so that I could get them in all different heights and lengths and get that like a really big bundle of the balloons. I was able to do it a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked. It actually, that was one of the few objects that T.O.O.L doesn't really work well for. So that took a really long time. That was definitely a big learning curve for me in the process of making this home. And I just decided to cut that footage because it's literally just me like doing nonsense work for hours upon hours. So you'll see that a little bit at the screenshots at the end of the video. And then the other portion obviously is the house itself. So like I told you guys, this is a fan request, and I do try to include, if it's a residential, maybe with my patron what kind of family we're looking at for the home. So I did ask my patron who had asked for this home what we would do about the family living here. And the only reason that this might not be your super standard, like we're just going to put exactly the characters that live in this home, is because there's quite a few characters from Up, and I feel like this might be the only residential that ends up in the Disney save. So if I want to include all of the main characters from Up, I might have to consider them all living in this home. And then there's always the question of including characters in the Disney save that are not actually alive in their given movie. Quite a few of you have asked me me about Tiana's dad and why I've chosen to include him in the Disney save. And the only thing I can say is that I won't always make that decision to include a character that died in their movie in the Disney save, but sometimes I do. And for this, it was kind of a question of, do we include Ellie or not? And what age do we do Carl and Ellie at? So we chatted for a while, and ultimately this was kind of what was decided. So not the next video or even the one after that, but very soon I will be putting out a creative sim of the characters from Up that are going to go in this house. But we decided that we would have Carl and Ellie. They're both going to be included. And we're also going to have the boy character from Up. Now, excuse me, because I do not remember his name. Somebody comment his name down below. But we're also going to include the boy character, and he is going to be adopted by Carl and Ellie. And obviously that's not accurate to the movie whatsoever. However, it allows me to use the adoption feature that the game has, which I might not have too many opportunities to use in the game. And also, you really don't get to see too much of that boy's family members. So I didn't feel like we would build like some generic house just for him to live in with his mom. It makes a lot more sense to me to just include him in this household. So Carl and Ellie are going to be adoptive of him. Doesn't have to be his parents, just in general. They're all going to live together. And then we will include Doug and the bird character, whose name I cannot remember right now. Believe it or not, I did just recently watch Up, but it has been a very stressful week for me, so I've got a lot of stuff going on. Regardless, the bird character, and no, we cannot make birds in The Sims 4 currently, but I am going to find a way to work them into this household as well. Not as a sim, probably as like a cat or a dog character that's just painted to sort of represent the character. So you will notice throughout the home some stuff that is like pet related, and that is obviously going to be for Doug and for the other either cat or dog character that will represent the bird. So it's going to be, I'll talk a little bit more about it in the creative sim because I think it's very different than what I've chosen to do with families up until this point. Usually it's if a character lives in that house, then they live in that house, and I haven't had to stray away from that too far, but I think that this is a really good solution to including a lot of the characters from the story and not having to worry about including a bunch of lots that I really wouldn't have been very passionate about building. So besides all that, we have the house itself, and there were so many great screenshots from the movie that I was able to use for replicating the interior of this. It was a little tricky to get the exterior exactly correct, and I had to use so many different references. There was even a floor plan that I found at one point, but it didn't really work out. It wasn't matching up exactly. And I will say, for this main living room area where you get to see a lot of the scenes from the beginning of the movie, this layout is not exactly how it is in the movie, but this flows a lot better. The chairs are actually closer to the fireplace and on the other nook closer to the wall on the left. It's basically rotated, if that makes sense. However, just for the sake of the Sims and being characters like trying to get through a home and just trying to make the Sims be able to walk properly through a pathway, it just makes a lot more sense to have things less cluttered in that way and like spread it out a little bit more throughout the living room. There were a couple of screenshots for the kitchen as well. Not as many, maybe one or two that were just Carl when he was a little bit older sitting in the kitchen being very sad as he is in the movie. And I think we had a couple from the bedroom. So I do want to say, when it comes to the bedrooms upstairs, I did make this a 2-bedroom home. Obviously, we have to have room for both Carl and Ellie and the boy character, but you guys know, if you've seen Up, that they at one point are decorating a nursery. So I tried to bring some of the original ideas from the nursery and integrate it into the new bedroom, almost as if it was that at one point, and they have redecorated it to make it more appropriate for what they have going on now as far as like their family goes. So you will notice a few things that are originally there, like the original yellow walling, the original portrait on the wall, not portrait, but beautiful painting that Ellie painted on the wall for her nursery, still kind of there to represent the beginning of the movie and the original aspect of it, but more catered to the character that's actually going to live in that room. And with that, the kitchen as well, we didn't have too many screenshots, but I can get a pretty good guess for how Carl and Ellie were. They're depicted in the movie as being maybe blue collar, like paycheck to paycheck type of people. Obviously, they always have this big plan that they are going to go on this super adventurous trip, and it never ends up happening, and it's kind of shown that usually something will always come up where they can't afford it and they have to take all the money that they were going to spend for the trip and use it for something else as his life. So I imagine that they have quite a few things that are handmade, a lot of stuff that looks like it's hand painted. Ellie is kind of depicted as being artistic, and she's very imaginative and creative. So I imagine her just going around and painting everything, which is why I've decided to use quite a few brighter colors in here and a lot of furniture that look like it had been hand painted. Also, this is the first speed build that I'm doing for the Disney Save that includes nifty knitting. So that actually came out the day that I was building this. I was building the exterior and I literally closed my game so that I could go download nifty knitting, and I was so excited. It worked out perfectly that this ended up being the first house that I was able to use this stuff on, because so many of the items in that pack really look like they're stuff obviously that's handcrafted or hand painted. So it really fit in with the theme, and I used a ton of the clutter. So as far as the pack goes, I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it works out really, really well for builds like this in particular. That's one of the reasons why, as I'd mentioned in previous videos, that I was not pumped about the idea of doing an Elders pack. I really wanted something that was a little bit more diverse, and this type of a home is exactly what I was picturing when I said that I wanted a pack with more diversity. If it had been more of like an Elders pack, I don't think a lot of the stuff really would have worked in this home, but a lot of it is more general, and there's different color swatches with a lot of it that will be like your basic whites, your basic wood tones, and then some of the ones that are more like handcrafted, painted kind of a look. So there's a lot of options. I'm really enjoying it so far. I do think it comes with like not as many things as it probably should have. Obviously the knitting aspect is supposed to be like the big part of it, so if you're really into that, then it'll be like worth it for you. But I'm just in it for the build and buy, and I'm definitely enjoying the little pieces that come with it. The little plants, the random little knitted clutter items that you can put all over the house. A lot of those will work really well for children's rooms, and in this home you will see me use them upstairs quite a bit. So I'm pretty excited for it. I'm just glad to have more clutter. Honestly, it could be clutter literally about anything and I would be excited to have it. So quite a bit of that is used in this home. You will need it to download this home off of the gallery. I do recommend it. It's really going to bring it to the next level. I think even I use some of the couches and stuff upstairs in the hallway, so I'm really enjoying it so far. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. I did talk about it a little bit in Discord. I was wondering what people's thoughts are on it so far. It's very mixed. But it is a community voted stuff pack. If you guys don't know that, it went through so many trials of people voting for it, and obviously I will say right off the bat, I did not vote for the arts and crafts theme of the pack, and I definitely didn't vote for knitting when it came down to like the individual details. But honestly, when it comes to stuff packs, I'm usually just happy to have new items, so it's never really a big difference to me as far as all of that stuff goes. So we are on to the upstairs. This is going to be the final portion of the video, and this is the boy's bedroom. So he wears yellow. He is a Boy Scout. He wears a lot of orange. I think of him as like a really creative, fun, bright, bubbly character, so I wanted his room to obviously represent that. You can see the stickers on the wall is what I was talking about earlier with the shout out to the original room intention of this, which was at one point a nursery. And instead of getting rid of it and just like ignoring the whole thing, I think it would be cool to leave it up in that child's honor almost. That's definitely something that I would do at the very least. And it really fits into the theming of the room anyway. I feel like it would work no matter what, so it ended up just all working out. Obviously using a lot of stuff from Parenthood in here. We've got a lot of like crafty type of items, the nifty knitting stuff, this really weird knitted character that I do not know what it's called, but it almost reminds me of like the voodoo doll item, but it looks like it's wrapped in yarn. It's kind of creepy. I put one in the bathroom and I was kind of like, ooh, is this creepy? Is this weird? A little creepy. Not sure how I feel about those characters, but I thought that it would still be fun to use some of them, so I did put some of that like knitted stuff in here, and then the rest of it is just mostly an area for the kid to do whatever he wants to do. I imagine he would obviously need the Scouts board for him to be a part of the Boy Scouts, and he also has a book like right there on the mantle. And then I wanted to have some places for him to do like schoolwork, arts and crafts. He is going to be a child in the save obviously, so he's still going to go to school. Also a fish, which is one of those items that you always forget is in the game, or at least I do. I'll go through the catalog trying to think of like, oh, what's an item I haven't used in a really long time? And fish is usually one of them. It's usually because it's in a very weird section of the catalog. There's a couple of other items that are with it that I'm just like, why are these all grouped together? It's usually the like arcade machines, the foosball tables, the fish. Very weird assortment in the catalog, but I did remember this time around to be able to use it in there. And then lastly, we have Carl and Ellie's bedroom, which we did have some screenshots from later on in the movie. So I was really excited. We basically had the same exact bed that they show in the movie. I think that one is from Cats and Dogs. It has like the quilt on it. And this is one of the darker rooms in the home, but it's still very, very colorful. Now, before any of you mention the curtains and yell at me about the curtains being on the wall, I want to say that I saw this recently in like a designing catalog, or like people were talking about this on Pinterest, that to make a room look bigger, you hang the curtains all the way at the top of the room and then hang them down. That could just be totally my excuse for wanting to use them, because they're really tall curtains and they're brand new from Eco Lifestyle, so maybe I just wanted to use them in here, okay? But I also think that they look good. I don't know what you guys think. I think that they look fine, but yeah, you guys let me know how you feel about it down below. I'm not sure that I'll do it all the time, but I have seen that done before to make a room look a little bit larger. You hang curtains not from where the top of the actual window starts, but from the base of the wall. So what do you guys think of it? I thought it was cute in here, and I thought it was a really cool way to tie in some of those curtains throughout the home, because they're newer. You always want to use the new stuff, and I really hate most of the curtains in this game, so it's a little bit slim pickings when it comes to, especially like that window size, like trying to do 2 windows versus the single window. Definitely a little bit of a nightmare. And then just some general clutter. I imagine that Ellie would like to do her makeup, so I wanted her to have an area for her to do so. A closet, that is one of the newer dresser closets. I think it's a crafted item or a recycled item, one that you would find from Eco Lifestyle. Lots and lots of Eco Lifestyle in this speed build. Probably for a lot of them in the future. I find myself using the TwistedMexi from Eco Lifestyle quite a bit too, so probably important to know. I think that I've been using, obviously, the new stuff pretty heavy, but in general, I've been using that pack a lot more than I thought I would. And I think it also makes sense to use a lot of whatever pack it belongs in the respective world. So obviously we have Evergreen Harbor. We're going to use the Eco Lifestyle stuff. And that is basically going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for a couple of screenshots here. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section below. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below. It is also linked at the end of the video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post. And I will talk to you all in the next one.